Welcome to the season finale of the OpenAI saga. First and foremost, Sam Altman is back at OpenAI with a brand new board and some surprising members from the old board. Also, I think we now know who was the person behind the coup, behind this hostile takeover, and what her motives were. There's a lot to cover here, so let's get started. First, Sam Altman is back at OpenAI. He says, "I love OpenAI, and everything I've done over the past few days has been in service of keeping this team and its mission together. When I decided to join Microsoft on Sunday evening, it was clear that that was the best path for me and the team. With the new board and with Satya's support, I'm looking forward to returning to OpenAI and building on our strong partnership with Microsoft." And that's, of course, confirmed by OpenAI. We have reached an agreement in principle for Sam Altman to return to OpenAI as CEO with a new initial board of Brett Taylor, Larry Summers, and Adam D'Angelo. People may have been a little bit harsh with Adam D'Angelo. We might have to apologize. And Satya comes in and says, "We are encouraged by the changes to the OpenAI board. We believe this is a first essential step on a path to more stable, well-informed, and effective governance. Sam, Greg, and I talked and agreed they have a key role to play, along with the OpenAI leadership team, in ensuring OpenAI continues to thrive and build on its mission. We look forward to building on our strong partnership and delivering the value of this next generation of AI to our customers and partners." So why is Adam D'Angelo back? Was he not the Judas who put this whole thing in motion? Seems that that wasn't the case. So here's the other member of the board, Helen Toner. So it looks like long before the events of this weekend and beyond, OpenAI's board was divided and feuding. A paper was published by Helen Toner that was kind of attacking OpenAI and praising Anthropic, the OpenAI competitor. Here's a quote. "By delaying the release of Claude, which is Anthropic's chatbot, until another company put out a similarly capable product, Anthropic was showing its willingness to avoid exactly the kind of frantic corner cutting that the release of ChatGPT appeared to spur. In the framework of the study, Anthropic enhanced the credibility of its commitment to AI safety by holding its model back from early release and absorbing potential future revenue losses. The motivation in this case was not to recoup those losses by gaining a wider market share, but rather to promote industry norms and contribute to shared expectations around responsible AI development and deployment. Yet where OpenAI's attempt at signaling may have been drowned out by the other, even more conspicuous actions taken by the company, Anthropic's signal may have simply failed to cut through the noise. By burying the explanation of Claude's delayed release in the middle of a long, detailed document posted on the company's website, Anthropic appears to have ensured that the signal of its intentions around AI safety has gone largely unnoticed. So it seems that, according to New York Times, Mr. Altman, he was upset with Helen Toner publishing this paper that was criticizing OpenAI and praising Anthropic. And they're saying that Sam Altman recently made a move to push out one of the board's members because he thought a research paper she had co-written was critical of the company. Another member, Ilya Sutskever, who's also OpenAI's chief scientist, thought Mr. Altman was not always being honest when talking with the board. And board members worried that Mr. Altman was too focused on expansion while they wanted to balance that growth with AI safety. So it looks like a few weeks before Sam Altman was fired, he met with Helen Toner to discuss the paper that she wrote. Sam complained that the research paper seemed to criticize OpenAI and praise Anthropic. He said that that paper was dangerous to the company, particularly at a time when the Federal Trade Commission was investigating OpenAI over the data used to build its technology. Helen Toner defended it as an academic paper that analyzed the challenges that the public faces when trying to understand the intentions of the countries and companies developing AI, but Sam disagreed. "I did not feel we're on the same page on the damage of all of this," he wrote in an email. "Any amount of criticism from a board member carries a lot of weight." Senior OpenAI leaders, including Ilya Sutskever, later discussed whether Helen Toner should be removed. And this is where I'd love to hear Ilya's take on this, because it seems like, he regrets whatever decision, whatever choices he was making. Seems like he wanted to get rid of Helen Toner, who seemingly was criticizing the company while being on the board of that company. Keep in mind that none of them have any equity, so they don't have any financial incentives. They don't have any skin in the game, financially speaking, which seems noble. But again, after seeing what happened here, it's almost like, wouldn't it be better if people had a financial incentive to help the company they're on the board of? Because as you'll see in just a second, it did seem like she potentially tried to just erase the company, to erase the almost $90 billion valuation. So it looks like they had three departing directors: Reid Hoffman, LinkedIn founder and Microsoft board member; Siobhan Zilis, director of operations at Neuralink, which is Elon Musk's computer brain interface company; and Will Hurd, a former Republican congressman from Texas. So, my guess is they wanted to keep themselves stronger maybe it sounds like Helen Toner wanted to retain a stronger position by not inviting more people in and perhaps diluting her ability to get stuff like this done. So it looks like after vetting 4 candidates, they couldn't agree on who should fill it. So Jason Kwan, OpenAI's chief strategy officer, talking to the board after Sam Altman got fired, basically said they're endangering the future of the company. He was saying, you guys are going to destroy the company. You guys are violating your responsibilities. To which Helen Toner replied that destroying the company was consistent with her responsibilities. If the board's mission is to ensure that the company creates artificial intelligence that benefits all of humanity, and if the company was destroyed, she said that could be consistent with its mission. So I think a lot of people, myself included, have said that the board acted foolishly, like they didn't know what they were doing, like they were clueless. That theory's out the window. It seems like she, at least, very much knew what she was doing. This was calculated, because later we find out that they went to Anthropic in an attempt to just kind of do a fire sale on OpenAI, merge it with Anthropic, and have the CEO of Anthropic become the CEO of OpenAI and basically take over both of those. So that's an important point to keep in mind. So it seems like there is proof that Helen Toner had a mission to erase OpenAI, or at least if she couldn't get her way, sort of the default would be trying to delete OpenAI. And this is where it gets even more interesting, because the board did not say any of those things in their blog post and all their communications. They were kind of tight-lipped about it. They didn't really explain why. They couldn't provide any specific examples. They said, well, Sam Altman, he's not always candid. But no one was willing to provide any specific evidence. In fact, they said that something along the lines of he was so good at being deceitful that they can't even provide a single example of him being deceitful. And one question that one person is asking is that wire fraud? Is that a federal crime? And the person asking that question is the U.S. Attorney's Office in Manhattan. Plot twist. So Wall Street Journal reported that the board's hallucinations about Sam's lack of candor, excellent use of the word hallucinations there. Have a like, good sir. This would be gross negligence and defamation. In a second, we'll hear from an expert who also thinks that this might be wire fraud, I believe. On Friday, after the board defamed Sam on their blog post, the company got calls from law enforcement, including the U.S. Attorney's Office in Manhattan, possibly the same one that indicted SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried. What's interesting is that this isn't the only connection between Helen Toner and Sam Bankman-Fried, as you'll see in just a second. When the board was asked for details by the team, they said they couldn't provide a specific example because Sam has been so deft, as if he had cast a magic spell upon them. In short, law enforcement is asking questions about Sam over the board's hallucinations. Some executives said that they were getting questions from regulators and law enforcement entities, such as the U.S. Attorney's Office in Manhattan, over the charge of Altman's alleged lack of candor, the people said. The truth was going to come out one way or another, they told the board. The board agreed to discuss this matter with their counsel, meaning their lawyers, which is what you do when, I think these would be federal charges. If it's, I'm not a lawyer, I don't know, but it seems kind of serious. If you got the DA of Manhattan calling you, within a few days of this hitting the news to, ask you some questions. And so after a few hours of talking to their lawyers, they returned still unwilling to provide specifics. They said that Altman wasn't candid and often got his way. The board said that Altman has been so deft, they couldn't even give a specific example, according to the people familiar with the executives. So you've heard of Sam Bankman-Fried. So I think he was found guilty, faces something like 110 years in prison. So he was sort of spoke of himself as being aligned with EA, effective altruism, which I didn't know too much about this before looking into it. I might get some details wrong, but it seems like it's a philosophy where I think it's mostly for founders and people in leadership roles where they try to use their powers to create as much good for the world. So basically, they're trying to do as much good for the world over the long term, reduce human suffering. Again, not too familiar with it. It seems like it's a little bit controversial because, for one, this was, to a lot of people, I think, the face of EA for a while. But it seems like for some reason, again, I'm brand new to learning about this stuff, but it seems like for some reason, EA is now lining itself up against AI. And I think that's why, sort of as a counter movement to that, you see the EAC people, the people that put the E/ACC in their profile, meaning effective acceleration, as in let's ramp AI up as soon as possible, as fast as possible. So it also seems that Helen Toner is part of this EA club. So I guess this is her talking about sustainable motivation. As far as I understand, she's not an engineer. She doesn't have any education in the AI space or anything like that. And again, I'm just learning about these people and their beliefs. So I apologize if I'm getting some details wrong. But at this point, it seems that a lot of these people, it's kind of hard to understand why they are on the board of what could be potentially one of the more important companies of our lifetimes. Why do they have such power they came very close to just erasing that company and giving it to a competitor. In effect, what happened was basically Microsoft was able to scoop up OpenAI and all their employees, all the technology, for $0 with no regulatory scrutiny, right? Microsoft is this massive thing. When they bought Blizzard, right? The governments all over the world try to block it, try to prevent it. It took many months, I think, before they approved that. And then one move from this person who subscribes to EA, effective altruism, and Microsoft just scoops up this number one AI company with zero government oversight, with zero regulatory activity. I don't know. From where I'm sitting, it seems like not only is it misguided, but it's not very effective. It's the opposite of what they're trying to do. If they're trying to slow down OpenAI's ability to progress AI, you know what the worst thing you can possibly do is take all that technology and all that talent and all that brain power and just hand it to Microsoft. Because that's in effect like strapping it to this thing and shooting it into outer space. Microsoft is spending more on building AI infrastructure than any other project, I think in human history, they were saying. They're comparing it to, the US building dams and various other infrastructure. And Microsoft, they're investing in infrastructure for AI. It is much more than that. Forget the exact numbers. But from where I'm sitting, it doesn't seem very altruistic and it doesn't seem very effective. And I guess it's kind of ironic if the same district attorney that put Sam Bankman-Fried in jail will now go after this person. So here's an interesting post. It sounds like Helen and even people from Anthropic might have colluded to oust Sam. And Helen was okay with the company being destroyed. If true, then the Doomer versus EAC narrative was actually right. A lot of speculation here, but this makes me think that this saga isn't over. Helen and co. might decide to just burn down the ship while pretending to take responsible actions to preserve the company just to avoid legal ramifications. And again, this was posted a little bit earlier. So since then, we now know that that's not the case. Sam Altman seems like he is back at OpenAI. They said they've reached a conditional agreement, but it seems like just everything is lined up. Satya, OpenAI, everybody at OpenAI, Sam, Greg. It seems like everything's now finally in place. And again, I do want to say that a lot of this that we're talking about here, some of it at least is speculation. I mean, a lot of people are guessing at what Helen's motivations were. But at the same time, I feel like maybe they should have been a little bit more open and explain what they were doing. The fact that nobody could even come up with any specific examples seems a little bit shady. It seems like they couldn't say their actual motivations, so they made up some vague motivations to kick Sam out. All right, so who is on the board now? That's the next step, because that really determines, are we going to see this sort of shenanigans again, or are we done with this for a while? So it looks like Adam D'Angelo is back. He was the one that people thought that since he had a competing product with OpenAI, it seemed like that maybe he had a financial incentive to take Sam Altman down. And certainly it seems like he would have had to vote for kicking Sam Altman out. So again, I don't know, maybe all the people that were kind of attacking him, maybe we all will need to give him an apology. I'd still love to see an actual explanation of what the heck happened, but if he's on the board and everybody's okay with it, it does seem like maybe it's all good. I don't know. So that's Adam D'Angelo. We also have Brett Taylor. Brett Taylor is the former CEO of Salesforce. And then we have Larry Summers, former United States Secretary of the Treasury. He's an American economist who served as the 71st United States Secretary of the Treasury. Interesting, but I guess it's really good to have somebody with a economics background, because a lot of this could now start to impact, the world's economy, U.S. economy. So we got Brett Taylor, Larry Summers, Adam D'Angelo, Sam Altman, and Greg Brockman. I already know what the complaint is going to be. So interestingly, Ilya is not on the board. I'm curious what his position is going to be. I mean, seems like he's going to be part of OpenAI still. Hopefully, I want to say hopefully, because he is a big chunk of the brain power that is OpenAI, I feel like, right? I think he has a lot of the little tricks that make GPT-4 work, that make all this work. So hopefully they'll be able to figure something out. But yeah, that's a wrap, I think. We'll see what happens to the rest of the players. Hopefully, we'll have some more visibility, some more confirmation to what's happening. The unfortunate thing, it is beginning to look like we have sort of these battle lines being drawn between the people that want AI and the doomers, the AI safety people. And I think that's just going to get worse. That is just going to continue. Anyways, are you not entertained? My name is Wes Ropp, and thank you for watching.